Hello and welcome back to the range. Today I have a really interesting build that was put together with the help from the people at Brownells, and I really want to thank them for being able to help me actually make this a reality. I'm going to go through some of the parts of this rifle, but what I'm planning on doing today is I want to do like a accuracy test. For those of you who know, when you purchase a rifle, no matter what brand it is and no matter how many of the same there are out there in the world, every single rifle is going to perform a little bit differently with different ammunition. So what I have is a variety of ammunition that was provided by Tactical Surplus USA. Really appreciate them sending us out because this costs a lot to actually be able to put together. And I have a variety of 6.5 millimeter Creedmoor ammunition, and we're gonna do some testing to see out of this particular rifle, which one would actually perform the best. So I printed out these targets that I'm going to be using. We're going to be at 100 yards, and the center squares are exactly 1 inch from edge to edge. And I wrote the name of each ammunition we're going to be running, and we're going to see which one actually performs from this rifle the best. This is exactly how you're able to get to like ballistic testing and seeing which of the ammunitions that are out there are actually going to perform best for your rifle. From the ground up, what this is a Howa 1500 action. So the actual bolt action portion, this entire thing, you're able to purchase directly from Brownells. It's the barreled action, so it's the actual serialized component along with the barrel. And again, the coolest part about Brownells is you can really custom build your own rifles for not that expensive of a price and get something as like really cool like this. So the barreled action is from Brownells. I paid for that with my own money. I just really love the company. What they did send out to me is this KRG chassis. KRG is also a really cool company that you could kind of custom build your own kind of systems. I really wish they had more of a variety for different actions that are out there. So this is their Bravo chassis, which is kind of like a baseline, basic level chassis, but it has an adjustable cheek riser over here. You're able to add detachable magazines, which is really valuable. There's slots in the front for M-LOK if you want to add additional accessories. So for, again, my purpose of use, this works great. There's also additional attachments on the top over here where if you want to add a thermal bridge, a night vision bridge, things like that, you're able to do that as well. They do have a lot of really cool other offerings, but for the Howa 1500, which is this barreled action specifically, you're limited to the Bravo chassis. Still love it, still great, but that's what they have out there. On top, this is a scope that was sent out to me quite a while ago, and I didn't really have enough time or a good enough rifle to put it on to see if I'm able to test it. This is from a company called Discovery Opt. It's kind of one of those lesser known brands when it comes to optics, but this is a very affordable scope, and it's a 3-25. It has really bold and nice, easy to read lettering. It has zero stop. This one in particular is an MRAD. Works really great. So no complaints. We're going to really test it out today to see how it goes. It also came with their own rings that has all the markings and everything to make sure that it's done correctly. A lot of very small features here and there. I did a very basic overview somewhere on my channel that you could check out, but that's kind of the scope we're going with for today. I added a Area 419 adapter to the bottom, which allows me to use this Atlas bipod that's mounted on the bottom, and really love this bipod as well. Overall, a fairly simple put together rifle. I think this is called the M24. I'm gonna double check. The muzzle brake on the front of the rifle that makes it shoot significantly more soft when you're using it, because again, a 6.5 Creedmoor is not a crazy kick, but anything on any gun to be able to reduce recoil is very nice. So we're going to go through the variety of different ammunitions that I have over here. I'll put up the targets so you're able to see them as we're firing them. We'll kind of go through it quickly, see what the ballistics differences of these offerings are. Then maybe we'll take it out even further to see how much further we're able to push this. So the first round we're going to be starting off with is the Barnes VOR-TX. It's a 120 grain TTSX ballistic tip. So they have that blue tip over there. I originally zeroed this rifle for this. So we're going to see how that performs. We'll do 4 rounds of each. We'll try to speed it up in somewhat of a time lapse so we could go through all the ammunition, and then we'll break it down together. So the next one we have over here is the Sig Elite series. This is a full copper round. I think originally they said that it used to come in a different material case, so I think it was a nickel originally, but now the boxes are marked that says that it might come in brass because of short supply, but you'll expect to see the same performance. So it's a solid copper round, 120 grain, and that's kind of like all they've really put to it. It looks like it kind of has, to some degree, a hollow point, but it's not really a hollow point. So let's see how this one performs. Same 4-round group, different paper, and let's see how that does. Next we have S&B Blue. This is also, again, we're trying to stick to the same grain weights for all of them. 6.5 Creedmoor, 120 grains, TXRG. That's what they label it as. It also has kind of a looking blue ballistic tip, and they say that it has a very serious expansion on impact of a target. Next we have Hornady Match. This is always like considered of some of the more premium stuff. 6.5 Creedmoor, 120 grain, ELD. So let's see how this performs. Okay, so now we have Federal Premium, Trophy Copper. So again, 120 grains. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that they listed specifically. Yeah, Federal Premium, also again, kind of one of the bigger names when it comes to premium ammunition. Now we have Federal. This is kind of the standard OTM, 120 grain. So much more of like the, so to speak, more affordable stuff. I'm very curious to see how this goes. That might have been our best group with the cheaper of the ammunition. So now we have another Hornady round. This is the Outfitter, 120 grain CX 6.5 Creedmoor. It also looks like it has some kind of red ballistics tip, and we'll see how that performs. Last round we have over here is a Nosler 6.5 Creedmoor, 120 grain BT. And last one, let's see how this goes. Okay, we are back from the range and we have the data of what we just covered. Now, there were two issues that I need to highlight before we begin that I messed up on that probably changed a little bit of the results of the actual performance of the gun. The first thing is that I didn't have my rear bag, which usually makes it significantly easier to be able to level the gun to make sure it's much more stable. So you might have seen me using a very odd grip when I was actually holding the rifle, but ultimately that was the most stable for me to keep the gun level. So it might have looked weird, but that was at the moment the best that I had. The second thing was that I printed out these targets that have a 1-inch square box. I really wasn't sure what the performance of this scope was going to be like at the range. So I gave myself kind of a buffer of a larger square in case I wasn't going to be able to see. As it turns out, the scope worked very well, which means I should have given myself a more fine-tuned aiming point. So if I would have made this a diamond and focused on one of the points, or if while I was there, I decided just to aim for one of the corners as opposed to just aiming for the center, I think that would have helped tighten up the group a little bit. So that's going to be kind of like the caveat going into this. So starting from the worst performance and going to the best performance. The first one in regards to, again, starting from the worst, was the S&B TX RG. So this was the 120 grain projectile, and this is the target that we have there. And then from the reading that we got there, the full group size was 2.13 inches. Now, in every single paper, I'm going to assume that there's just one flyer. Even if there isn't, if we were just to cut out one to see what the tighter group would look like, in a 2.13 inch group size, assuming we remove one flyer, so the one round that was furthest out, this drops to a 1.24 inch group. So that was this group. This was also the ammo that I had more stored up on. So this just comes to show you, if you just buy what's affordable or what you find available, it may not be the best performing. So the second to last was the Barnes VOR-TX. So it's VOR-TX. The group size on this was 1.65 inches, and with the removal of one round being the flyer, it drops to 1.03 in group size. So that was the Barnes VOR-TX 6.5, 120 grain. Again, they were all 120 grain to keep some level of consistency. After that, we had the Hornady CX with the group size being 1.78. And with the removal of the flyer, which you can see is much higher in this case, it drops actually to a 0.77 inch group size for the Hornady round. So that was that grouping. Coming next, we have the Sig Copper round. This is the full copper round that Sig offers. The full group on this was 1.3 inches. And with the removal of the flyer, which you see over there is on the low end, it's 0.55. So 0.5 inches of a group. So just around half an inch group size with the complete copper round. After that, now we're getting into kind of the better numbers here. We have the Hornady Match. And this is the full group size of 1.08 for the Hornady Match. This is the 120 grain ELD. So this is the kind of the higher end offering that they have. And with the removal of a flyer, it's now at 0.55 inches of a group size. Then we got the Federal Premium. So this was the copper round as well from Federal Premium. This was pretty interesting. The full group size was 1.31 for the full group size over there. And then with the flyer removal, it drops to a 0.37. A 0.37. You see that stack on the bottom there is a really tight stack. So that was pretty cool to be able to see. After that, we get the Nosler with the Ballistic Tip. The full group size is 1.5 inches. And then with the removal of a flyer, it drops to a 0.32. Now, I'll be honest with you, looking at this paper, I don't know if that measurement is accurate. It seems like that is larger than a 0.32. That's what the calculator initially said. But between you and I, the federal one looks better. So I'm going to assume that that is incorrect. It still looks, in my opinion, like closer to half an inch since it's riding the line from top to bottom over there. That's a full square. So that could be closer to probably 1 MOA. That's going to be my guess. So that probably seems a bit incorrect over there. And then coming in first place, which is incredibly shocking and also at the same time exciting because it is the most affordable of the entire group, is the Federal OTM, Open Tip Match round. And this is a 1.34 full-size group, but with the removal of a flyer, it drops to a 0.28 inch group. Hi, this is future Raziel. Don't listen to that guy. That is not a 0.28 group. I'm not sure what happened with the ballistics calculator when I was measuring it, but the previous Federal round seems to be the best performing group. That's not it. So ignore that stuff. With the removal of a flyer. So again, coming in as a kind of a recap, I still think that there was an issue with my leveling to make sure the gun was more steady. This gives me kind of a rough idea, which means I know kind of at least the 3 ammunitions. I'd be curious to test again to see if I'm able to tighten down those groups. But this is, again, a very good reason why, regardless of the brand, regardless of how premium it might sound or how expensive the ammunition might be, every round will perform differently depending on the gun that you put it in. Even if, again, it's a Glock 19. Everyone has a Glock 19. They're mass produced. But if you start putting different rounds of ammunition, you might see that your particular Glock might perform different than others. So when it comes to the precision world, it is significantly more fine-tuned, and this is where you really want to make those differences. Obviously, again, if you go into your own loading, so you're loading your own ammunition, that's going to be where you see even more significant of a difference when you're going to really see exactly what your gun likes to feed. So this was very exciting. If you guys have any questions, I still have quite a bit of ammo left from the testing. So if there's something you want to see me redo with all these rounds, or if you want to see a different type of test, maybe a longer range ballistic test to see even at distance what these rounds are capable of doing at a further out, that might be pretty interesting. Please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. This is Raziel Cohen with the tacticalrabbi.com. Thank you for watching.